Hey everyone, welcome back to the Wyoming Knits YouTube channel. My name is Jenny Lee and this is my channel where I like to talk about all the things that I've been knitting on over the past week. Today is Sunday, July 19th and this is episode 148. You can find me on Instagram as Jenny Lee Knits and you can find me on Ravelry as Jenny Lee S Knits. And today I'm coming to you from a sunny southwest Wyoming where I live with my husband, our daughter, and our little Yorkie, Dax. It is currently 87 degrees outside here in southwest Wyoming. I had my finished object on and I have already recorded this podcast once. I went to edit and there was no sound. So we're going to try this again and see if we can get some sound on here and get through all the projects that I worked on this week. I have 2 finished objects and 5 works in progress. So let's start with finished objects. The first one I have is my California sweater. I was wearing it earlier today, but it got way too hot. I knit this out of Lovejoy fibers. I held a fingering weight and a Surrey alpaca together. This is knit on a size US size 10.5. I don't remember what size that is in millimeters. I have my little bag that I have all my needles in and a 10.5 is 6.5 millimeter needle, and you do the ribbing on a 7, which is 4.5. So I have all my needles in here. It's got stuff for my needles on the outside, and then this little bag, or this little, has all of the, all my, oops, all my red lace cables are in here, and some of my sock needles, and I put all of my stoppers in the front, so I have everything where I need it. In this little bag I put all my mini sets in there. My small minis are in my tote next to my chair with my minis that I don't use that often. So this is my California sweater. I swear I'm just a little discombobulated because I have to do this twice. That was very frustrating. So, California sweater knit, designed by Leslie Forrester, who is Knit California. It is 2 yarns held together. I used 2 whole skeins of Surrey alpaca and a little more than 1 skein of fingering weight. The whole thing weighed 260 grams, so I think I used about 160 of the fingering and a whole 100 of the Surrey because they come in 50-gram skeins. I did run out of yarn. I ran out of the Surrey, so I used this Yarn Cafe Creations mohair right here on the collar. That's the last thing you do. You come back and pick up your collar, and so I had to use just a little bit to kind of blend that together. I don't think you can really tell unless you look super close. You can tell that that's kind of a different color, but you wouldn't be like, huh, that looks weird. You're just like, oh, that goes. I knit it a little bit longer than the pattern said. If I wouldn't have added the extra inch on the bottom, I would have had enough for the top, but I wanted it to, I wanted it long enough that it covered the hem of my not high-waisted jeans. So I knit it to 13 inches from the underarm to the bottom of the cuff, or bottom of the hem. I did finish my first ball of Suri alpaca, and then I knit the sleeves to pattern, and then went back and finished the body, and then came back and did the neckline. It is a folded over neckline, and so when I was binding off after I folded it over, I knit two together, bound off, knit one, then went to the next stitch, knit two together, bound off, knit one, and all the way around. So you're only knitting down every other stitch to your cast on edge or your picked up stitches. That makes the neckline so it's not so tight. It still gives it a little bit of stretch in the neckline, so it, like, you can get it over your head. That was in the Monday sweater. When you cast on, you do the folded over neck, and so you cast on, you work your so many rows, you fold it over, and you knit two together every other stitch. So that's where I picked that up, and I do like doing it on anything that I have to fold over. So my next finished object are my String of Light socks. These are a gift. I started with 64 stitches with a German twisted cast on. I did 20 rounds of a 2x2 cuff, and then I went into the String of Lights pattern. I substituted the slip stitch heel flap from the Crazy Sock Ladies Vanilla Socks patterns, and I think the toe is the same for the Vanilla Socks and the String of Lights pattern. I think those are the same toe. I was right here on the second sock last time you saw it, so I did do pretty much a whole second sock this week. This is the Hypnotic Yarnable in the color Sinful Dellight. It was a cinnamon themed month for these. So those are finished. They are ready to be gifted. I have posted them on my Ravelry and Instagram. I was having a hard time with Instagram earlier today. I went through to put all my socks in my stories and then put them on my highlight for my socks that I've made in 2026, and I put it on my story and then it wasn't in my highlight, and now my battery's dead. Okay, battery fixed. So I was telling you about putting these socks on my highlights in my stories, and some of my socks were missing from the highlight on there, and I was like, where did those ones go? Because I was scrolling back through my pictures on my phone, and it missed like five pairs of my socks. So I had to go back through and add them to my story again, and then add them to my highlight. I thought you could add to your story, click add to your highlight, and it would be in there. So I went back to look at my highlights. It was not in there. I had to go through my story, and going through the story and looking at the socks and hit add to highlight after that for it to put all my socks on there. So the socks that are popping up today have been finished for a while. They just didn't get put on there, so I had to redo them. So these ones are finished. This is finished. 2 finished objects this week. Let's talk about works in progress. I think I'm having a day. Just everything, I don't know. everything is just off today. So let's start with these socks that you've seen before. These are in a Molly Klein Designs bag. I don't know if that's focusing, but that's in Molly Klein Designs. This is a sweet tea yarn that came with the bag. Molly is also the dyer of sweet tea yarns. And this is Mystery Machine. And it came with the main skein and the mini to match the bag. And last time I was right here. I had not made it to the hill yet. I did all of this in 2 days. So I did the heel, and I'm through the gusset decreases and just working on the foot. I started with a Chagu red lace 9-inch circular needle, size 0, 2mm needle. I did 64 stitches, cast on with a German twisted cast on. I did 20 rounds of a 2x2 ribbed cuff. I just like that. Then I started in on this stack of books pattern by Witchery. I did 70 rounds. These count all of my rounds. Sometimes I put in a stitch marker halfway through the cuff so I know where 10 rounds is and I have to do 10 more. And then I started the heel. I usually put in a different color for the heel so I know after the heel I do between 75 and 80 rounds for my foot. I think these are going to be for me. I haven't decided if they're going to be a gift yet. I have tons of socks. I don't need any more socks in my sock drawer, but I want to make more socks for me. So these, I think I am going to do the orange for the toe also. So those, I hope these get worked on this week. Then I worked on this pair. This is in a Knit for Brains bag. I have all of my project pages knit linked in the description box below. Also, with each project I link where I purchased the bag and where I purchased the yarn, if you can still, if that shop is still open, or if you can purchase a bag from a shop. So all of that information will be in the description box below. I also have all the places you can find me: Instagram, Ravelry, Ko-Fi, email, and I think that's all. And I have a list of different make-alongs that I am participating in this year. So these are another pair of socks. This one is the String of Lights by Witchery. I am using the Hypnotic Yarnable in the color Guava Cream Macaron. Can you see that? It is very, very light. This is her plush sock, 8515 Superwash Merino, 437 yards per 100 grams. This is the color. I am making these for a gift for our new Title I interventionist that is going to be working with the K1 students this year. So I did 64 stitches, German twisted cast on, 20 rounds, 2x2 ripped cuff. Then I started the String of Lights pattern, and I haven't got very far. US 0, 9-inch circular needles, 2mm, and I'm working on those. I really hope this is recording the sound. It looks like it is recording the sound. If not, we'll do take 3. Then I have this bag. This is a Mountain State Stitches bag. This is one of my favorite bags I take at any time I am traveling. And I pulled out a Knit Picks Felici in the color Fruit Punch. This is from the fall of 2022. I like to write what year I got this because they don't do the same colors again. They might do the same color in a different sequence and call it a different name, but most of the time they do not repeat names and colorways. So I grabbed that, and I also grabbed this gray that I had left over. I just went through my boxes of leftovers and found a dark gray. This might be a Yarn Cafe Creations or a Zen Yarn Garden. I don't remember. But I have the cuff, the leg, the heel, and I am finished with the gusset decreases. This is also on US size 0, 9-inch circular needles, 2mm, 64 stitches, 2x2 ribbed cuff, 20 rounds, 70 rounds for the leg, and I think these are going to be for me. I'm not sure. At any time I could change my mind and make the foot a different length and gift them to someone. Or I have a couple people that wear the same size as me, so I can do that. This section, I'm not sure if that is supposed to be one color, supposed to be 4 colors, 2 colors, because you can see that this one and this one are the same. This one's and this one are different. Then you have the purple, and I'm not sure if that's supposed to look like that. I don't know, but we'll keep going. I have 2 balls. I actually have 4 of these. I ordered them and I got all of the colors in that release, and then there was still some left on the website that were on clearance, and I thought, ooh, maybe if I order more and then they're out of stock, then they'll release the new colors. So I got another set of that one that year, hoping that they would release the new colors soon after that. So I will be working on this pair of socks. Let's see, the next thing. Last Sunday, I had some yarn caked up, and I had a plan for that yarn, and it's been sitting by my chair for about a month and a half maybe, and I said, nope, I'm doing it, I'm casting on. So this project, I am using Sinful yarn in the color Warlock. This is on her DK base, 100% superwash merino, and I cast on the Stick Season Sweater by Rebecca Clow. I did the back panel. It's got this fun texture. And And then I finished the back panel. I picked up the front left. It's got this nice seam detail. Ooh, I don't know what I did there. Can you see that? It's got the rib detail that goes down. This dark color makes it harder to see. That's a little better. But this has the texture, I think it goes to about here, and then it switches to plain stockinette, and then it's a drop or set in sleeve. I don't remember. I'll have to go back and look at the picture, but that's the back panel. And then I am slowly working on the front panel. I am still going to work on my Gramercy tee and my Monday sweater. I just haven't picked it up this week. I wanted to work on this one, get it cast on, because I've been planning to do the stick season for about 1.5 years. I've had the yarn caked up for over a month, and I said, let's just do it. Let's cast on. Then I worked on my blankets. My next blanket is my next project is the Honeycomb blanket. I am using Lion Brand Pound of Love and Lion Brand Big Scoop. Let's see. The Pound of Love is Honeybee and the Big Scoop is Tutti Frutti. And I was right there last time, and I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 honeycomb repeats. I put in a stitch marker on honeycomb number 40, so I have 14 honeycombs left. I've done 2 after the stitch marker, 1, 2. This is barely touching the floor, and so it'll probably go up to about here when I'm finished. I think that's a good size for a growing child, and hopefully they get to use this for a long time. I am loving this so much more than that other yellow one I tried to do at the beginning of the year. This is working up so much nicer. The yarn is nicer. The honeycomb blanket is actually super easy blanket. You've got your main color rows and your contrast color rows and some slip stitches, and it's an easy blanket that looks more complicated than it is. All of my friends are always like, that looks so hard, how do you do that? And I said, it's actually kind of easy. I'm only working with one color at a time. It's not color work. So if you are looking for an easy blanket to use 2 different colors, you should try this one. Then the last thing I worked on my memory blanket. I put in a few more squares. Let's see. It was right here last time I showed it. That was the last one you've seen. And then I took some of the yarn from my Lovelight blanket that I did with my Advent swap from last Christmas, and some of the yarn, what I need about 3.5 grams, or each square takes up 3.5 grams. So I weighed out all the leftovers from the Lovelight blanket, and if it was less than 4 grams, I put it somewhere else. And if it was 4 grams or more, I put it in the bucket to add to this blanket, because this blanket is only yarn from projects that I have completed. So I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 squares, which is 17.5 grams of yarn out of my stash. When I decided to track my stash, grams in and grams out, I didn't want to weigh this blanket and add that to my stash. So I decided that anytime I put in a square, I was going to count that as out of stash. So I did 1 square where I weighed the yarn, completed the square, weighed the yarn again, and it was about 3.5 grams. And so I'm just counting every square I do as 3.5 grams. I don't want to reweigh every single yarn when I use it, so I'm just counting 3.5 grams out of stash every time I complete a square. There was something else I was going to say and I totally lost it. So as I'm going through, when this is completed, I am not going to weigh it and count the whole thing as grams out. I'm counting each individual square as I finish them as grams out, and I'm tracking that in my yarn tracker. I did put the squares, I did work on them this morning, so I put those in my grams out. And as I was looking at my tracker, I have 0 grams in so far this month. I did order the Mama Jess July yarn, so that should be arriving sometime in July, maybe the first week in August. It was a pre-order. I don't remember the time frame on there, but I have also ordered her August yarn, so I have July and August coming. But so far in my yarn tracker, I have 0 grams in and over 400 grams out, so I'm doing pretty good on that. Hopefully I can finish that blanket and get some more grams out. I think that'll be at least 300 grams, if not more. I don't know. I can't remember how many my last one was. So hopefully I get that finished. I only have 14 more honeycombs to finish. If I can do 2 a day, I can finish it by next week. I'm gonna try. Over the last couple of weeks, I've been putting in 3 or 4 honeycombs and then not working on it for a day or 2, and then putting in 3 or 4. So 2 a day or more, and it will be finished by next week. I think that's all I had for you guys today. Don't forget the Wyoming yarn crawl. I think Utah's having their yarn crawl right now. Wyoming's yarn crawl will go until the end of summer, till Labor Day. So I think that was all. Let me know what you worked on while you were watching, if you were doing any yarn chores or house chores. What was your favorite project? I think my favorite so far this week has been my California sweater. I can't wait to wear that this fall. It was way too hot to wear it today. Just for the first 5 minutes it was too hot. So I think that's everything. Let me, I forgot what I was gonna say. So until next Sunday, happy knitting.